This video is sponsored by Rocket Money, but which we'll get to later. What's good? First off, I know I need a haircut, so let's just move past that. I'm sorry. In the age of streaming, a promise was made to us. A promise that we could watch what we want to watch, when we want to watch it, without commercials or TV censorship, or your dad putting on a movie halfway through that you've already seen 20 times. Streaming was cool at first. It was sticking it to the man. And now it's become the man. A man who's got himself lost and is too prideful to ask for directions. A man without a plan. Now that streaming has driven us all away from the old model and we're stuck with it, it can enter its final form. The way that capitalism always drives technology to eventually become bad and shed all the things that made it appealing in the first place. That's right, streaming is poopifying itself. Rising prices, ads galore. What kind of sick bastard would put an ad on something? Now they expect you to fork over more money every month for the premium tier. Password sharing crackdowns, confusing bundles, straight up content deletion, an endless wave of mid-original movies and shows that are there to give you the illusion of bang for your buck, but actually just serve to dull your senses and keep you docile, while you consume hours of drab pig slop that goes in one ear and out your butthole. You used to say, hey, have you seen that new episode of Game of Thrones? And the other person would be like, yes. Now you're like, hey, have you seen that new show, Hugo Carlisle? It's on Peacock Premium. And they're like, no, sorry, dude. I'm still trying to catch up on the Schmidt-Lancer bio series on Gubi XS. How's Hugo Carlisle? Is it good? Should I add it to my list? Nah. No, it's ass. I only watched it so I could watch a YouTuber's 2-hour-long breakdown of how bad it is. Anywho, streaming has been on my mind a lot recently, so I wanted to reevaluate all of the popular streaming services and essentially review them and decide which ones are still worth having and paying for month to month at this point in time. Because it feels like we're at a point where these corpos just expect us to have access to all of these, which is just unreasonable, when most of them are honing in on $20 a month. I'm not an investor, I'm not a shareholder in any of these, so to talk about all of these corporations and what they're doing maybe seems a little weird. I'm just a consumer and I'm giving the consumer's perspective, and like a lot of you, I watch a lot of TV. TV is art, and it's one of my favorite forms of human artistic expression. And like it or not, streaming is just what we have now. So instead of just accepting what we have, I guess I want to make this video to talk about some of this stuff and mostly probably just complain about it. So I'm going to be reviewing these services on criteria, namely cost, UI, that's user interface for those in the know, their library, their originals, and whatever else I feel like bringing up. It's really not as organized as I'm making it sound. Okay, let's drop in. Disney Plus. This one's pretty unnecessary in my opinion. I mean, thing is, you might have access to it anyway because there's that whole Hulu, Disney Plus, ESPN bundle thing. The only thing this app to me is the Star Wars watching machine. And now that Andor is over, yeah, this basically has no value to me. Isn't it a bit depressing to think about how we'll probably never get another Star Wars show as good as Andor in our entire lifetimes ever again? I'm sure if you have little chitlins, little kids running around rubbing pasta sauce all over their iPads, that this might be a must-have, but I basically never boot this up. So unless you get a serious inkling to watch Race to Witch Mountain, I'd say unnecessary. Hulu. Okay, Hulu is an interesting one. I feel like a lot of people just know Hulu for its amount of ads. With ads, it's about $10, and then like 15, 16 without ads. The ad tier of Hulu's kind of unusable, so if you're not willing to let them suck your blood for that $15 a month, I guess it's not really worth it. That all said, they have the best and most extensive library of just good TV. All the network dramas and especially sitcoms all escaped the sinking Titanic that was cable and just washed up here. I've become more and more burnt out with the modern TV landscape. I find myself revisiting a lot of old classics instead, like X-Files or House. Just these dependable shows that have self-contained episodes that you can always keep coming back to. They're so refreshing compared to the current model of 6 to 8 episode seasons that just spin their wheels and then end on a cliffhanger and then get canceled or return years later when you forget that you even watched it in the first place. Also, the fact that they have FX is huge for the program. Right now, the biggest draw for me is Alien Earth. That actually feels like a movie quality show that's dropping every week. One of the biggest drawbacks for this thing though is the god-awful UI. I don't know what it is with the Hulu panels, but for some reason once this dropped, every other tech thing was like, damn, that sucks. Let's do that too. Even Netflix switched to the panels. We'll talk about Netflix. We'll get there. Anyways, it just feels like I'm never seeing enough of anything I actually want to see. And then when you go on the website and you search something up and you realize, oh my God, they had this all along. I would have never known that. It's like they're hiding stuff.
What's up, guys? I want to interject here from the editing room. I originally filmed this video earlier in the month, and since then there's been a pretty massive boycott of ABC and Disney. This was because Trump's FCC pressured ABC to take Jimmy Kimmel off the air because they didn't like what he was saying, and ABC spinelessly did so. There was a mass cancellation of Hulu and Disney Plus accounts, leading to Disney losing $4 billion in market value over the weekend, and now Jimmy Kimmel's back on the air as of this week. So yeah, I thought that was an important bit of context to put in the video, okay?
HBO Max. HBO Max is like the star student you have to bring into the principal's office to scold because they've been getting themselves into trouble, and they should know better. You're really gonna squander your potential hanging out with those degenerates. Now, HBO Max, formerly known as HBO Max, costs $17 a month. And there was a time where I would say it was worth it, you know? This is supposed to be the prestige one, the fine dining one, because the average quality of an HBO show is so head and shoulders above everything else that it's kind of absurd.
Oh my God, the meat writing is crazy.
Or at least it used to be. Their incessant cost cutting has just done them a lot of harm in recent years. Take House of the Dragon. And I know I'm 2 years late to talk about House of the Dragon season 2, but I didn't make YouTube videos back then, so I'm gonna talk about it. The thing is, Game of Thrones is their golden goose. It's literally the most successful TV show of all time that just absolutely fumbled in such a comical spectacle that it made poop look appetizing by comparison. I wrote that as a placeholder in my script, but I'm just gonna roll with it. So after that, they knew there was still gas in the tank, and out came House of the Dragon season 1. This was a hit by most metrics. I mean, people were riding high. It really felt like Game of Thrones was back. With its flaws, of course, but people were comparing it to Game of Thrones season 1, which is crazy. So if you're HBO, what do you do with that goodwill that you just re-earned with your flagship franchise? If you're one of the genius suits who gets to take home $50 million a year for your genius ideas, apparently you cut out 2 episodes at the last second, hamstringing your writer's original plan and giving the audience a shortened season with no climax, the payoff of which we're expected to wait 2 to 3 years to see. And I'm talking about this almost 2 years later, and we still haven't seen. As of right now, House of the Dragon season 3 is supposed to come out next summer, and the Dunk and Egg show, aka A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, is also supposed to come out next year. It was supposed to come out this year, but it was delayed. That show's also only 6 episodes, and George R. R. Martin has already seen most of those, and he said he really liked it, if I'm not mistaken. So where's the show? What else is HBO working on these days? Well, of course, we got The Last of Us delivering a disappointing 7-episode season of TV, ending on a cliffhanger.
And you wasted it.
That amounted to about 40% of the second game. Nice. Okay, I know I'm being really negative right now, but this is just the sort of stuff you expect to see from the other streaming service, you know? The red one, which we'll talk about. But even after all that, I'm still gonna have to say that this one is unfortunately still pretty necessary. If you care about the quality of the TV that you're consuming. I mean, Succession, The White Lotus, Righteous Gemstones, Curb, Veep, The Sopranos, The Wire. I could go on forever, but now we got this DC lineup with The Penguin and Peacemaker season 2, which is currently blowing season 1 out of the water. Not to mention the fact that Warner Brothers movies seem to drop like 2 months after their theatrical release just on the homepage. I don't know, it's one of the big 3, I guess. You kinda gotta have it. But if they're gonna keep charging that much, they gotta shape up. And they better not mess up Dunk and Egg, dude. I'm telling you, that will be strike 3. Also, I wanted to mention that apparently Warner Brothers is rumored to be lining up a sale to Paramount, just creating a massive studio monopoly. But apparently David Zaslav isn't quite ready. I'm sure he needs to just gut more of the company as much as he can, cancel more shows, cancel more movies, just delete projects and fire people. He also mentioned that he thinks that HBO is underpriced, which means they want us to pay more for HBO Max. At a certain point, dude, you can't just expect to boost your revenue without adding any value to what you're selling us. In fact, it's the opposite. I mean, just taking stuff off the platform, cutting your budget for your flagship shows, just deleting movies, and then you expect us to pay more? Dude, at a certain point, you can't be surprised when people turn to... So yeah, I don't know if this deal is gonna go through, but at this point, I don't know if the future is so bright. Speaking of expensive streaming services that you're paying for every month that you might not even use or remember that you're even paying for, today's sponsor, Rocket Money, has got you covered. And it's my first sponsor on this channel. Oh my God, it's crazy. Does this sound like you? Oh man, remember that one app or service that I was only gonna use a free trial for and then completely forgot to cancel? And now I've been paying for months on end? I know it probably sounds like you because it definitely sounds like me. Rocket Money is an all-in-one personal finance app that helps you cancel subscriptions, lower bills, and manage your money better. Once you connect your bank account, Rocket Money shows you all of the subscriptions that you're paying for in a single list. And it also shows you how much each subscription is costing you per year. And instead of having to go to each subscription individually, Rocket Money can help you cancel unwanted subscriptions with just a few taps right within their app. With Rocket Money, you can also create a customized budget in seconds. The app will show you straight up where all your money is going at all times and identifies top spending categories with insights on how you can stay within your budget better. From there, Rocket Money will notify you on upcoming charges or when your balance is low to help you avoid overdrafts or late fees. Rocket Money has helped its customers save up to $740 a year when you use all of the app's premium features. So if you like the sound of all that, take control of your finances today. Go to rocketmoney.com/jcote or click the link in the description to get started for free. Thank you so much to Rocket Money for sponsoring this video. Now back to the video. Oh, Apple TV Plus, why doth thee beckon me so? This one seems to fly so low under the radar for most people. I'm sure most people have heard of Severance by now, but shows like Shrinking, Silo, Dark Matter, Slow Horses, The Studio, The Morning Show, any of these, if they came out on Netflix, would easily be hitting #1 on Netflix's top 10 shows thing, and people would be heralding it as one of the best Netflix originals in years. But if it drops on Apple TV Plus, nobody knows it exists. The thing is, its handful of originals is kind of all it has. So at the price point of $13 a month, it's nowhere near worth it. You can definitely just get it once, watch the show that you want to watch, and then cancel it. Also, the UI is butt fugly, dude. It legit looks and feels like what the programmer would have as a placeholder until they brought in a designer to do the real thing. So yeah, I'm glad they're making these shows, but just know if you want to watch any of them, you won't have anyone to talk about them with. Gubi. Now we're here. Yeah, we're running with the big dogs now. I know it's by no means one of the most popular streaming services out there, but it fulfills a specific niche. If you like more indie filmmaking, especially like horror or foreign stuff, this is the platform for you. Some of my favorite watches are on here. One Night at Ephraim's, Basement Footage 1, the Smuggling series, the entire Monkey Exorcist collection, One Night at Ephraim's 2, 3 Nights at Ephraim's. I understand that you're gonna be paying a lot and still seeing ads because there's no ad-free tier, there's only ad-less tiers. And of course, you gotta fork it over for the Gubi Access tier if you want access to the entire Rundegaard Jones filmography. So for this one, I'm gonna have to say unequivocally, this is a must-have service. Who up watching they Gubi in excess? Prime Video. Man, Prime Video be pissing me off. So Amazon, the most lucrative company on the entire planet, which probably makes more money than every other streaming service combined because the Prime membership is not just for the Prime Video, it's for Amazon purchases. They still nickel and dime you by selling advertisements? Are you kidding me, dude? Why am I seeing advertisements on a new episode of Invincible? Not to mention that 99% of the time, the stuff you actually want to watch is not available on Prime, but is going to cost you a $4 rental. And I still feel like this might have the worst UI out of any app in existence. They just have these scrolling, never-ending lists of but they're not categorized in any thoughtful way. It'll be movies mixed in with shows, mixed in with Prime stuff, mixed in with rentals. The only way you can feasibly use it is if you already know what you're looking for. As for originals, I mean, I like The Boys, I love Invincible, I've heard good stuff about Reacher. Don't even get me started on Rings of Power though. Don't even get me started on Rings of Power, goddamn. Okay, there's a lot of streaming services, so I'm gonna go through some of these just rapid fire style. Paramount Plus. This one has all the Tom Cruise movies on it, and that's the best thing about it. If you don't care about that, then I guess you have Star Trek on here. This one also has the buggiest, just slowest website or interface of any streamer on the planet.
Oh my god, dude.
Trying to use this is actually hell on earth. This one cannot just last on its own in this landscape. I'm sure they're just bleeding money keeping this running. So I'm guessing if they acquire Warner Brothers, Paramount Plus and HBO will just merge together. Peacock. You probably know this as the one that took The Office and Parks and Rec off of Netflix. This is a weird one. Sometimes I'll open it, I'll be surprised about how recent of movies they just throw on there. But this one is Ad City USA. No one wants to go on Peacock. This is another one they just have to take the library of and fold it into another streaming service. It just feels pointless to have this one on its own. Shudder. I love this because I love horror movies. Their library is really solid, but my roommates hate horror movies, so I never get to use it. Tubi. Yeah, I'm sorry. Tubi is low-key goated. It's free, and I don't know if this is just my experience, but it feels like there's less ads on here than most ad-supported services that you still pay for. Not to mention, there's epic-ass shit like this on there. For real, if you're a bad movie head, it's an endless gold mine on Tubi. She's a keeper. Finally, what you've probably all been waiting for, I'm gonna rant about Netflix for a while. This is undeniably the big dog on campus and the one that started it all. I've seen people say that if HBO Max is fine dining, Netflix is McDonald's. And we all need a Big Mac every once in a while. Believe it or not, there was a time when Netflix was $8 or $9 a month. Because that's what it's worth. Now we're at a point where if you want to watch Netflix without ads, you gotta fork over $18 a month, and you can't share your password. Oh, no. So unlike all the other ones where I can share an account with my dad and my brother, this one I have to specifically pay for just for myself to use. So I can watch Love is Blind. A few years ago when everyone heard Netflix was ending password sharing, most people thought this would totally backfire on them, but their stock and subscriptions shot up. Because apparently people have to have Netflix, dude. Out of all of the ones, this is the most fundamental one. Maybe it's just habit, like no household is complete without it. But as time goes on, especially this year, I've noticed myself using Netflix just less and less. They got this new UI, which is specifically for the TV as far as I can tell, and it's the worst. Their old one was perfect. Now you can only see a maximum of only like 2 things at once. God forbid you hover over anything for a 0.01 second, or it'll just start playing, and if you hover over it for 5 seconds, it'll just open up and now that's what you're watching.
I actually can't emphasize how much the cramped UI makes it harder to find something to watch.
If you sit down to eat and pull up Netflix, I guarantee you will finish eating before you find anything to watch. What about the Netflix originals? Well, they still produce good stuff. Those Mike Flanagan miniseries being the greatest thing they ever did. I just feel like their ratio of utter duds has been steadily rising. Like, how am I supposed to wade through all of this? And I just cannot get behind the way they handle their production sometimes. The absolute tragedy that is The Witcher is unbelievable to me. Coming from a studio that we're supposed to consider in any way to be professional, I can only dream of a reality in which HBO got the rights to The Witcher back in 2017. Also, the way they handle their movies is very strange. They seem to have this idea that they can compete in the blockbuster movie industry. They're putting out these movies like Red Notice, The Electric State, The Gray Man, that all cost hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars and never see a theatrical release. How can that possibly be profitable in any way? Like, are people really like, I was gonna cancel my subscription until they released The Electric State and Red Notice? Now, 10 more years of Netflix, please. You got Ryan Johnson in a public dispute with Netflix over how they refused to give his movies like an extended theatrical release before putting it on the platform. Ryan Johnson should probably know what he was signing up for when he did his Netflix deal with Knives Out, but at the same time, I get it, dude. Knives Out, the first one, was a giant theatrical hit. For Netflix to not want to put it in theaters, it's just, they hate money, dude. You got like K-pop Demon Hunters, probably one of the most popular movies of the year. Even after being on Netflix for a month or more than a month, it still made $20 million in its opening weekend at the box office when they decided to put it in theaters. Imagine if it had never gone to Netflix and just had a theatrical release. It would probably be one of the top 5 biggest box office hits of the year for sure. They have this future streaming first idea of how to do movies, but it just has no logic behind it. Back in the day when they did made for TV movies, you could expect the product to be a little lower quality, you know, because it was a little bit more cheap. And you look at The Electric State, it's basically a made for TV movie that costs as much or more to make as like an Avengers movie. Hey, Netflix, you should have taken that money and used it to bid on keeping The Office. And I'm sorry, but are we really still doing Stranger Things? I'm sure this will be my hottest, most nuclear take ever because I know people love Stranger Things. But come on, man. It's over. It's been 10 years and we've gotten 4 seasons? These kids are past college graduate age. 11 has her own child. How many times can she bleed out her nose and scream and send Galbatorix back to the further? I remember the last season ended on a cliffhanger, and it's been so long, I don't remember anything. In fact, I don't remember anything about the show except for stuff that happened in the first season. You know, back when it was still charming. That and, you know, Chrissy Wake Up. You know, that was a dark time. Yeah. I'll watch the last season just like everyone else, but then, I don't know. I've had Netflix my whole life, but maybe it's time we lived apart for a while. I need to see who I am when I'm living on my own. I think it might just be time to break up with Netflix. Who am I kidding? Thank you guys so much for watching. I love making YouTube videos. I hope this was enjoyable to you in any way. It's just something I've been thinking about a lot recently because this is just something we use, all of us, every day. And it's just absurd that they want us to pay $20 a month for 15 different streaming services, and it needs to stop. Thank you so much to Rocket Money for sponsoring this video. I still can't believe it. Remember to smash that like button and comment too. And join me next time when we look at the Conjuring movies. Or whatever other video idea I decide to do. If you want to support me, my Patreon is in the description. Thank you so much to all my patrons. Anyway, bye-bye, kisses.